Mr. Garland, you were bald and you had glasses on. I knew you were an old man when I had you in class many years ago, but it is surprising to see just how old you are now.
Yes, well, you can be sure that it's me.
And you have a British accent. Is the rumor true that you were a secret agent in hiding?
I cannot comment on that now. And I am sure you recognize my classroom just by the smell.
Yes. They never fixed the smell. Well, thanks to you and all of my hard work at IDEA, I am now a successful scientist and I came back to tell you how wonderful my life is now.
I am so pleased. What are you doing now?
I study living systems.
Living systems can be as simple as a single cell or as complex as a beehive. What do you focus on?
I have done a lot of research on photosynthesis. I remember first learning about it in this classroom so long ago.
Well, I'm glad. Yes, plants, or any organism with chlorophyll, make their own food through the process of photosynthesis. I hope when my students hear that sound, they know that they should write down what was just said into their notes.
Yes, chlorophyll is the green pigment that absorbs light energy.
The green pigment that absorbs light energy. That is a good way to put it. The green pigment that absorbs light energy.
But the plant needs more than just chlorophyll, that green pigment that absorbs light energy. The plant also needs water and carbon dioxide.
The H2O, the CO2, and the light react to form
the 6 molecules of H2O, the 6 molecules of CO2, and the light react to form 1 molecule of C6H12O6 and the remaining 6 molecules of O2.
That C6H12O6 is glucose for the plant to use, and the 6 molecules of O2 are great for us to breathe.
I hope your students got that down in their notes. The 6 molecules of H2O, the 6 molecules of CO2, and the light react to form 1 molecule of C6H12O6 and the remaining 6 molecules of O2.
Well, that is how light energy is converted into chemical energy.
Yes, the radiant energy from the sun is converted into chemical energy in the plant. It all begins with nuclear fusion in the sun. Radiant energy is captured by plants. Plant energy is captured by herbivores.
By herbivores you mean plant-eating animals?
Yes. And the energy in herbivores is captured by carnivores.
By carnivores you mean animals that eat other animals?
Yes. And that is how energy moves through the ecosystem.
From the sun to plants to herbivores to carnivores.
Another way to say it, from the sun to producers to primary consumers to secondary consumers.
From the sun to producers to primary consumers to secondary consumers. That has a very significant influence on the structure of the ecosystem.
Of course it does. There are many producers. There are fewer primary consumers. There are much fewer secondary consumers.
There are many producers. There are fewer primary consumers. There are much fewer secondary consumers.
Yes. Because every time energy is transformed in the ecosystem, some of the energy is used up by the organism and lost.
So if I eat a sandwich, I will use most of its energy by the end of the day and that energy will be lost.
Or when a sheep eats grass, it gets a lot of energy. Some of that energy is used as the sheep walks around.
So when a wolf eats the sheep, it gets less energy than the sheep got from the grass, because the sheep already spent the energy.
Because there is less energy available at each feeding level, there is a limit to how many organisms can be a part of each progressive level.
Because there is less energy available at each feeding level, there is a limit to how many organisms can be a part of each progressive level.
Mr. Garland, I'm sorry, but your room smells so bad.
Yes, they never fixed the smell.
How are your students doing with their notes?
Students, are you following along?
You will notice that the terrible smell in this classroom caused a positive feedback response in my body.
That is true. I saw that.
Positive feedback is an interaction that increases, or amplifies, the response of a system.
Positive feedback is an interaction that increases, or amplifies, the response of a system.
The interaction between your room and my nose increased, or amplified my desire to throw up or vomit.
I am sorry for that.
That is okay. It is a good example of positive feedback.
Another example of positive feedback would be shivering if you are cold,
Or sweating if you are hot.
Our bodies respond to stimuli in order to maintain balance.
Our bodies respond to stimuli in order to maintain equilibrium.
Are you studying other things?
I study everything from cells to populations of organisms.
Of course. I am proud.
Cells are the structural and functional unit of all living organisms.
True. Cells are the structural and functional unit of all living organisms.
So they are fun to study. Tissues are groups of cells organized to perform a special function.
Tissues are groups of cells organized to perform a special function.
Like muscle tissue or skin tissue.
Cells make up tissues.
Yes, and tissues make up organs. Organs are groups of tissues organized to perform a special function.
More organization. Organs are groups of tissues organized to perform a special function.
Like the heart pumping blood, the kidneys filtering the blood, the lungs bringing oxygen in and getting carbon dioxide out, like the eyeballs collecting light so we can see.
So very important. I wish my old eyeballs could see better.
And then an organ system is a collection of organs that have related roles in an organism's function.
An organ system is a collection of organs that have related roles in an organism's function.
Like the circulatory system, which is made up of the heart, the arteries, the veins, and the kidneys that clean the blood.
Or the nervous system, which is made up of the brain and the nerves.
Or the digestive system, which is made up of the esophagus, the stomach, the small intestines, and the large intestines. And then an organism is any living thing.
Like you and me. An organism is any living thing.
Like any animal or plant. Like any bacterium or a fungus.
It all begins with cells.
It all begins with cells. Then tissues. Then organs. Then organ systems. And you get organisms.
And organisms live together.
Yes. A population is a group of organisms that live in a certain area.
I see. An organism is a group of the same type of organism that live in a certain area.
Like the humans who live in this town. There is a town population.
Like the deer that live in our county. Like the fish that live in the pond.
Like the mice that live in your classroom.
Like the grass that lives in the field.
Mr. Garland, it was good to come back to IDEA and see you again.
I'm so proud of what you have done.
I hope your students have finished their notes. Class, good luck on your Objective 2 assessment today.
I am sure that they will do wonderfully. And I will play the song for them at the end of the week and they can put pretty green paper next to their picture.
Wonderful. Class, do well so you can have the pretty green paper next to your picture.